Hi, my name is Jody Griffith, and today I will be talking about whether free-range parenting is an appropriate way to raise children. Although I don't have children myself, the topic really interests me because I found out that a nurse I work with actually participates in the parenting style herself. Free-range parenting is the concept of raising children in a way that fosters autonomy with limited parental supervision, but it also takes into consideration their age of development and is reasonable and realistic about the risks. So in other words, it's about keeping our children as safe as necessary compared to as safe as possible. If you think back to many years ago, it was totally normal for a child to walk to school by themselves. It was also normal for a child to run to the grocery store for their parents or ride a bike without a helmet. Well, the concept now has a name. The term free-range parenting came about in 2008 when Lenore Skenazy allowed her 9-year-old son to ride a subway in New York City by himself. He had ridden it with her many times before, and she showed him how to do so safely each time. She gave the child a subway map and $20 and sent him on his way. Lenore was quickly all over the media and was labeled America's Worst Mother. Soon enough, Lenore started a blog on her parenting style and named it Free-Range Parenting. So there is several pros of free-range parenting. The first is that it allows a child to gain confidence. If you think back to Maslow's theory of the hierarchy of needs, it says that people who are able to act independently and be recognized by others for what they do tend to feel more confident in their abilities. I feel like that is something that kids these days lack. Between bullying and problems with self-image, I feel that free-range parenting allows kids to really think out of the box and learn new skills and feel good while doing it. Another pro is that it allows for more outside time and less tablet or iPad time. When I was a kid, my parents allowed me and the neighborhood kids to ride bicycles, and I knew that when the street lights came on that was my cue to go back home. And my parents trusted me with that. But these days, I wouldn't be surprised if my 2-year-old nephew sent me a friend request on Facebook. Free-range parenting more or less encourages children to communicate face-to-face compared to over a text message. Each parent has their own kind of set of rules, but there is not a definite set of rules in free-range parenting. The next good thing is that it allows children to be more independent. Most children don't experience true independence until they're in adult age or until they head off to college. And by that time they head to college and they're in a panic because they truly don't know how to function on their own. With free-range parenting, children have more life experiences that allows them to live and learn and prepares them for adult life. And although the idea sounds like a great plan, just like everything else, there are cons. The first is that we may be able to trust our kids, but we cannot always trust everyone else. The percentage of child abduction, molestation, and sex trafficking in the U.S. is at an all-time high. Although that you may know your child would never get in the car with a stranger, a child walking without an adult is always an easy target. Something else that may get in the way of free-range parenting is that laws do exist. What you may find acceptable for raising your child may be a nightmare to your neighbor. Neighbors or bystanders may believe that your parenting style is considered child abuse or neglect, and they may report that to Child Protective Services. It is also possible that Child Protective Services may be involved in a situation where your child is injured due to the lack of supervision. Lastly, children do not always have the best judgment. They are young and clueless and very vulnerable. And depending on their age, they may feel like they are invincible. This poses a risk for physical injury. So, free-range parenting affects nursing care in a couple of ways. The first is that we may see more physical injury cases in the emergency room in a free-range raised child. This is solely due to the fact that although a parent may see their child on the jungle gym maybe going a little too high or climbing somewhere they're not supposed to, they allow them pretty much to take the risk of getting hurt and learn from their mistakes. The second is that a parent may want their child's care done in a different way than what your typical helicopter parent may want. A helicopter parent is someone who, stands over the child's shoulder and pretty much supervises them through absolutely everything. They may panic, take their child to the emergency room for a laceration, while a free-range parent may care for the wound at home or teach a child how to care for their own wound. But take into consideration that free-range parents do not allow their child to, become ill at home or not seek medical help that is needed. A free-range mom may use supplies at home to make an ice pack, while a helicopter mother takes her child to the emergency room for a paper cut. So older parents seem to agree more with the free-range style because that is how they normally grew up. Back then they were expected to help out around the house, run errands, and be independent. They also didn't have smartphones that allowed you to track your children everywhere they go. On the other hand, younger generation parents are usually more fearful and may feel like free-range parenting is not appropriate. A common misconception about free-range parenting is that the parents allow the child to do whatever they want, even if it means almost getting themselves killed. And that is, in fact, not true. There are still boundaries, there are rules, but it more or less allows the child to have a bit more freedom and independence in making their own choices. So to wrap things up, I believe that free-range parenting can be an appropriate way to raise children as long as it isn't taken too far or putting the child in danger. I also feel like that at times it may be taken too far. I also feel like I won't actually have a strong opinion about it until I have children myself and am able to, create my own style of how I raise my children. And that's something that we see today. Each person has their each and own way of how they raise their children. Some do free-range parenting, some do helicopter parenting, and some do a little bit of both. It just depends on the person.